All right. So my name is Philippe. What is your name?
Amanda Harris.
Amanda Harris. Okay. So I'm gonna be doing an interview with you today. First, I'm gonna be asking some general questions about your career
Okay.
and what you do, and then I'm gonna get into the compassion-centered questions. Okay.
Okay.
So, why did you get into first? What is your field of study,
Chemistry.
and why did you get into this field?
Oh, I've just always enjoyed thinking about how things work, right? And
Okay.
chemistry shows you a lot about how things work.
Awesome.
I also come from a family with a lot of scientists.
That's awesome. What type of education, training, or other preparations did you receive?
So I have an undergraduate degree and a PhD in chemistry.
Okay. And what are you working now? And what are you interested about?
So now my primary job role is teaching.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of what am I interested in? Oh gosh, all sorts of things, right? But primarily for teaching, I'm teaching the general chemistry and then the analytical chemistry classes.
Mm-hmm. And what do you spend most of your time doing?
Meeting the students.
I'm sorry about that.
No, that's okay. That's what I'm here for.
What continues to inspire you or hold your interest on this field?
There's always new stuff to learn. I mean, there's new stuff to learn. I'm running an upper level lab and I see new troubleshooting and things to do there all the time. But also, it's new students every semester, new students who have different needs, different problems, understand things different ways, right? So there's always new challenges with that.
Okay. And where is this field going in the future? What you will be working on?
Oh goodness, I don't know. I'm not sure that chemistry education is going a lot of places. So it is going towards more collaborative work, right? So when I took general chemistry, the professor stood up there for 75 minutes and he wrote his notes onto the blackboard, and we wrote those notes in our notebook, and that was it.
Yeah.
There were no questions, right? And so now there's a lot more collaboration between me and the students in terms of me in terms of me answering questions and me running extra help sessions and things like that. But there's also a move just in education in general for more peer-to-peer interactions, right? For you guys to work together on those top hat questions or work together on a worksheet, things like that.
Okay. Is there anything else that you think I should know about your job?
I think so. I think you get to see my job. So
yes, absolutely. Okay, so now we're going to be moving towards the compassion-centered questions. Okay.
Okay.
In your definition, what do you think compassion means?
I don't know. Compassion. So it's definitely about being able to feel for students, or or if you're in another field, right? Maybe, but definitely being able to feel for other people, right? It's even if you maybe haven't been in the position that other person has been in, to be able to try to understand where they're coming from, right?
Do you think that moving out of your way to help someone else could be included as a compassionate action?
Sure.
Okay. So how compassionate do you think you are as a professor?
I don't know. See, that might be a question to ask you, how compassionate you think I am. I think that I am compassionate, but the other thing is, especially when you're dealing with these large lecture classes, you need to be compassionate within the bounds of the syllabus, right? So there are course requirements. You can feel a lot of compassion for a student, but if they can't meet the course requirements, you can't give them a grade that reflects that they did, right? I mean, so I definitely, there's a balance there, right? I mean, you definitely have to be compassionate towards students, but
yes,
we do have rules, and those academic regulations do need to be followed as well.
And do you see yourself as very compassionate about what you teach? Also chemistry in general?
I'm compassionate. I definitely feel passionately about chemistry.
Yes.
Sure.
And have you ever experienced someone being compassionate towards you on this field ever? Like, for example, a professor, another professor, a coworker, or student?
Sure. I mean, in terms of coworkers, we have a great group of coworkers here, and people are always willing to help you out if you need it. I was so if you want a specific example, it jumps to mind immediately. So this was a while ago. This would have been spring of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
I had a head injury,
Oh.
and I had a concussion. I was very disoriented, and I texted Mrs. Polo, and like when I looked back later at the text, it didn't make any sense. It was like, hit my head, 102, don't know what to do. And she emailed me back and she texted me back and said, do you need me to take that class? And I was like, yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes, right? And she just did it, right? And she did not, and it wasn't until later, because as I said, I was really out of it. So it wasn't until later when I looked back at it that I realized, like, she didn't ask me when the class was, where the class was, what I was covering. She just took care of it, right? And so, but that's, so they said that's the example for me that sort of jumps to mind. But stuff like that happens all the time here. I mean, this is very much a collaboration. We definitely help each other out when it comes to covering these classes and things like that.
Awesome. And do you believe that compassion could be a subject that could be learned?
Sure. I mean, I think it's definitely something you have to remember to practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if learned is quite the word I would use, but I think reminders are sometimes helpful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially because, if you're in a position like mine, I mean, I do deal with a pretty large volume of students.
Yes.
So right now I'm covering Mrs. Polo's classes too, and so when you add in like the lab students of that, I mean, you might, so there's overlap, right? 'Cause some people are in lab and lecture. So, but I mean, we're well over 1,000 students here, right? And so it's easy to kind of get caught up in that administrative stuff and just be like, no, 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 right? And as I said, we have to follow the syllabus, and the end answer may be no.
Yes.
But I think that it's important to try to take a step back and try to remember, whatever the student's telling you, this is really important to them, and to be sympathetic about it, even if we're still going to follow the syllabus, right? So I'm not sure that that's necessarily something you need to learn, but I think it's helpful to have some reminders of that every once in a while, because as I said, when you're dealing with very large volumes of students, sometimes that's easy to forget.
Yes. Okay, so I think it's interesting because now I'm getting on the term of person-centered care, and the topics that I brought up really overlaps with what you telling me. Do you know what person-centered care is?
Not much, but I can imagine where a doctor who's seeing people in 15-minute increments is going to go through a lot of people per day as well, right?
So basically the difference is person-centered care is a new style of care that is being developed currently. It's basically, instead of giving a standard procedure to doctors, they're going to take in each patient and give a tailored type of delivery care.
Okay.
So they're going to analyze you, your needs, and see what you need and what you're looking for in the care as well. And one of the foundations is compassion. The doctors need a lot of compassion to understand each patient as an individual.
Sure.
And I think because of the volume that each doctor sees, I think it is similar to you of the volume that of students that you see. So I think that's very interesting. And now I'm bringing more technical things. So there's an article by Mental Health America that states health professionals, especially the ones in the healthcare field, can experience compassion fatigue. This can happen due to stress, work burnout, and negative personal events. Have you experienced anything similar?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, and I will say, I mean, some semesters are easier or harder based on me and my personal life, but even just when you're thinking about the students, I said I always have to remind myself that whatever is going on in that student's life, if they're telling me about it, it's because that's really important to them. But I definitely see where compassion fatigue plays in, especially, I've had situations where I've had, a student in here who is having trouble with their classes because they lost their mother last semester and have just never been able to kind of recover from that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then another student who comes in who's, dealing with a serious medical diagnosis. And then the next student who comes in is upset because of something that happened with her boyfriend.
Mhm.
And it's like, and I kind of have to take a deep breath, right? Because I'm thinking, gosh, I'm dealing with students who have really like life-altering problems. You're fighting with your boyfriend is not important. But to that student it is, right?
Maybe because there's nothing really going on one student's life, and this is a major.
Right.
And if you compare to someone else, it's basically nothing.
Yeah.
But do you think that in some sort you get desensitized with students like occurrences, like since you have this huge volume of a lot of things happening?
Agreed. Yeah, as I said. And so then, you do get those sort of really unusual, really major things that stand out. But as I said, these more everyday stuff, yes,
Mhm.
I agree. Yeah, you're hearing about this
Takes
stuff
more
all
to
the
get through the show.
Yeah.
Okay. And is there anything that you do that do you think it helps avoid losing avoids this compassion fatigue?
I think it just helps to continue to remind myself, as I said, like the student is bringing this up because it's important in their life, right? Like I'm not their friend, I'm their chemistry instructor. They don't tell me everything that's going on in their life. They brought it to me because this is really important to them, right?
Yes.
Regardless of how important I see it as. They've brought it to me because they think it's really important and I need to treat it that way, right?
Absolutely.
But yes, sometimes I do have to remind myself of that.
And in terms of, one of the factors that lead to compassion fatigue is stress, work burnout. Is there anything that you do to cope with these things?
I don't know. For this job's a little different than a physician because I'm 9-month faculty. I do get summer off, and I think that makes a big difference in avoiding burnout. So as I said, I'm not sure how it works for people who are working year round, but
yes. But on your case, taking a summer off, enjoying.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We'll spend most of the summer on the river. It'll be beautiful.
Awesome. Okay. So, do you believe that uncompassionate individuals, meaning individuals that may not feel sympathy towards others, can obtain this compassion throughout their lives? So, for example, someone that does not express compassion tries to join the healthcare field, and how important this is for the healthcare field.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's possible for one individual like that to obtain this ability of some sort?
Sure. I mean, I think as a professor, I have a belief that people have a great capacity to learn, right? And so some people are going to have more natural talents in other areas, in some areas than others. But I mean, I think we have a great capacity to learn things, right?
Absolutely. Okay. In your opinion, do you believe that it's important for healthcare professionals to be compassionate about their jobs at all times when providing care to patients?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Not only on the professor perspective, but also on the patient perspective.
Sure. Yes.
Okay. If you had to choose, this is a not so smart question, but if you had to choose between a compassionate and an uncompassionate professional to care for you in your moment of need, who would you choose and why?
Oh, well, I mean, I'd say definitely compassionate. I mean, I suppose there's situations where you wouldn't care, like if you were unconscious after a car accident, right? You're not going to
Just
know
bring
this.
someone qualified.
Right. But for the most part, sure, you're always going to want somebody who's compassionate and is going to make you think that they have right, and that they have your best interests in mind when they're recommending strategies, right?
Okay, so I have another article here. According to an article written by the Canadian Oncology Nursing Journal, compassionate professionals are essential for person-centered care. The study gathered data that shows that patients can identify truly compassionate and sympathetic individuals providing care, meaning they know when a nurse is being genuine or when a doctor is being true, that they can see that they truly care about their situation.
Okay.
And these individuals have a strong preference in being cared and interacting with truly compassionate nurses and doctors. Having this in mind, in your opinion, how important it is to ensure that healthcare professionals are not only qualified but compassionate about their patients.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like it's very important.
Yes. So I have another research here that says that compassion fatigue is rising across the healthcare field. And in your opinion, how important it is to address not only the healthcare field, but in all fields in general, this compassion fatigue, where professionals lose their interest in helping others.
No, I mean, of course that's important because, and especially if you've got a situation where we're spending so many years training somebody. Sorry, I may have to get a glass of water, but this is my allergies. I know you've been having allergy issues this week as well. This is my allergies. It's always got my throat. But especially something like a doctor where you're spending so many years of training somebody, you don't want it to get to the point where by the time they're really confident in their field, they're not compassionate anymore, right?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so what were some elements that you think that influence you to be compassionate as a person in general?
Well, I don't know. I'm just a person, right?
Yes.
I mean, I think we should all be caring about others, right?
Absolutely. Do you think there's any faith influences or family influences education?
Faith, I would say no. And, I mean, I don't know. I think my family is pretty average in that sort of respect, right? I mean, we definitely care about each other, but they're not. I don't have any family members that are really, I don't know, like strongly into volunteering or things like that, right? I mean, I think it's pretty average.
Okay, awesome. Okay. So we are talking about how important it is for professionals to be compassionate about the profession and towards their patients or whatever they're working with. And what do you think, how important do you think it is for us to ensure that students are receiving their education in a way that values the development of these more interpersonal skills?
So, I mean, soft skills are important, right? Soft skills are important in medicine, but they're important in any job you're going to go out and get. Any field that you're applying for is going to be looking for those soft skills. I'm not sure how we are teaching them. Like in Gen Chem, I'm not sure we're really teaching these soft skills. I mean, maybe a little. As I said, I am asking for you guys to work with people at your tables and interact with them. And in lab, you're working with a partner. But I think we're more depending on upper level classes to look at those soft skills more. And Gen Chem, I don't think we're doing a lot with that. But I do agree that they're important. For sure.
Do you see the education going forward in the direction that we keep valuing and improving these areas more?
I hope so.
Yes.
I hope so. It's definitely something that the chemistry department has thought of in terms of their capstone system. But as I said, we haven't necessarily put that in place in other areas.
All right. I think that's all I have for you today, Professor Harris.
Alrighty.
Yeah, do you have any final thoughts of what compassion represents and the importance of it in our society?
I don't know. I think we covered it.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
I'm gonna finish the recording. 20